I just can't stop dancing, guys. I'm feeling so good. How's it going, everybody? Thank you all so much for chiming back in. This is, I believe, post-game number 3 already for spring training. Then we have the upcoming season where we are going to be doing post-games for at least 100 games this year. The goal is 100 to 120, a lot. But we have a lot to break down tonight, folks. So to all my Mets and baseball fans just chiming in, thank you all so much for first being in here in the live stream. I really do appreciate it. And for people watching this on replay, because I know a lot of you guys will be doing that because it's later at night. It's already 1:45 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. So whenever you're watching this, thank you all so much for being here for this Mets post-game recap, analysis, sharing highlights and reactions to the Mets victory. Biggest victory by far so far for the Amazons this spring, that being 9-3. And what a game this was for the Mets. And don't get me wrong, it's spring training. I'm not going to get, I'm not going to jump for joy and act like, oh my goodness, the Mets, they're going to go all the way. They're going to win the World Series this year. But what I will say is that this was awfully encouraging. Let's just start off with that. The New York Mets come out tonight. They have, for the most part, a starting lineup outside of having J.D. Davis at third base and having, of course, Dom in the quarter outfield before he then switched to first base when Alonso's day was done. But overall, for the Mets to look at what they were matching up against, pitching-wise, the Marlins, for the most part, not all of them, but a good portion of their pitchers today were minor league type pitchers. And it was nice to see the Mets, actually take advantage of the Marlins and what they were giving the Mets, because last season it felt like the Mets couldn't even hit a lick off of minor league type talent at the pitching position. But the Mets, they jumped on this right away. They took complete advantage of all opportunities given them for the most part today, and that is why I'm so excited to get into. So again, shout out to everyone in the live stream. I see Fern, Jack, great member on the channel. Sprite, great member on the channel. Jubilee, how's it going? Steven, Elliot, Fern, again, Anxious, Joseph, Rick, Tim, great member friend on the channel. Timothy Frith. Let's going down further. John, Chris, Cindy, all you guys, thank you all so much for being here. Bill, Dolores, and if I miss anyone's names, I do apologize, folks. And how we normally go about our post-game segments, of course, is I'm going to be breaking down everything that happened, of course. You see the highlights in the live stream if you're watching replay as well. And of course, I'll be answering your questions towards the end like we normally do. If you're watching replay, then this will probably go on for right around a half hour or so. But if you're watching live, then we probably went for upwards of an hour, just answering more of your questions. And then I cut it down after we are live. But again, shout out every single one of you. Thank you all so much for being here. I do see that I have a slight error in regards to it saying post-game show on that. I don't care. It is what it is. I'm just very happy to be here. Again, appreciate every single one of you guys. But what a win for the Amazons tonight. Again, smash that like and subscribe button. Help us get 200 plus likes by the end of the live stream, or if you're watching replay, it's appreciated. But the Mets, again, what did they do today? They start off hot. And what I loved most about this game wasn't just the Mets taking advantage of the opportunities given to them, but it was completely one-sided for a good portion of the game, not just offensively, but pitching-wise too. The Mets have been taking full advantage, not just of the offense that we saw today, but pitching. Sean Reed-Foley got things started for the Amazons tonight, and he walked the bases loaded for the most part. And then Jeremy Hefner, the Mets pitching coach, the absolute beauty that he is, comes out, gives a talk with SRF right away, and then just like that, he gets 2 quick ground outs. One's a double play, then the other ground out ends the inning, only sacrificing, giving up a run. And then the Mets just cook from there. Mark Canha gets his first home run as a New York Met tonight. I have him in my top 5 for Wardy's top 5. You could have picked plenty of different players today, not just offensively, but pitching too. But I had to narrow it down to 5. We'll be getting into all the numbers. But what a great performance for Canha. Then right after that, Francisco Lindor goes back-to-back with Canha. First time we've seen so far this spring, back-to-back home runs. You love to see it. Get used to that, Mets fans. It won't be the last time that we see stuff like that transpire throughout the entirety of the Mets season. Mark Canha said during his time with Steve Gelbs today in the dugout for SNY that he's been tweaking a lot of things about his swing. So again, it was awesome to see the Mets here, Mark Canha, Francisco Lindor, they go back-to-back, taking advantage of that pitching. And they were just nonstop tonight, folks. If we look at what they did offensively, Eduardo Escobar had himself a run scored and also had an RBI. I think I just missed putting an RBI there. If I did, I apologize. Went 3 for 3 today, and they were all singles, just solid hitting, spreading the field for Eduardo Escobar, who was in the DH spot today, while J.D. Davis took command of third base. Francisco Lindor, one of my big highlights of tonight, he was just all over the place. 2 for 3, a home run. He had himself 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, and a double. Then Mark Canha, again, 1 for 4, but had his first home run as a Met, and also, of course, had that RBI because of it. And J.D. Davis at the 4 spot here because 1 for 2 with himself a double, which was a bases-clearing double. Oh, my goodness, the Mets took advantage of bases loaded, and J.D. Davis hit a fastball down the pipe Who would have thought the Mets actually did that for a change? It felt refreshing, especially with JD, who we know struggled so much last season with fastballs right down the pipe. He did not miss that one at all. Got himself a gapper, bases clearing double for 3 RBIs. And then Francisco Alvarez, that you guys have been seeing in the highlights as well. The 20-year-old phenom, the top prospect for the New York Mets, catching-wise. Arguably the best catching prospect in baseball outside of, a guy from the Baltimore Orioles that you know who I'm talking about. Had himself an absolute piss missile. First pitch, sitting on that fastball, dead center, 441 feet. Had the highest exit velo out of all players tonight at over 108 miles per hour. Just ridiculous nonsense is what we saw with him sitting on that heater first pitch. You love to see it. Francisco Alvarez, what a showing. That is the future of the Mets at the catching position. He is a tank. He's 5'10", right around 240. He's just absolutely ripped, and I'm so excited to see when Alvarez makes his eventual Mets debut, whether that's this or next season, and he has the potential to really be, the franchise catcher for the New York Mets. So I'm loving every second of what we saw there. But let's go through the lineup, guys. Let's make it as simple as this. Again, Mets today, they dominated. They gave up a couple runs, but nothing crazy. The Marlins had a good portion of their starters out today, and the Mets were just carving them up without even a starter. Because if you guys watch how we do things usually here in these post games where it says no starting pitcher tonight, bullpen game, I normally have the stats of whoever was the starting pitcher there, and I will for more post games going forward. But there were no starters tonight. It was just strictly a bullpen game for the Mets. And again, SRF, 1 inning pitch, gave up 1 run, 3 walks, and got out of the jam. So shout out to SRF for calming down after not looking great to walk the bases loaded. But then Edwin Sugar Diaz, cue the trumpets. Nope, no problem. Diaz, 2 strikeouts in the 1 inning night pitch, just carving up the Marlins hitters, just looking like prime Diaz today. And the fact that we saw that with him not pitching in the 9th inning, even with it being spring training, is definitely a plus. So sign me up for that. Then we had Miguel Castro came in, had himself a scoreless inning pitch without a problem. Gave up 1 hit, no problem. Then we had Eric, I'm going to probably say his name wrong, Orzy. If I'm saying his name wrong, I do apologize. Great story, though. And the Mets minors has looked very strong so far in spring training for the Mets. Had an inning pitched for the Mets prospect and gave up 1 walk and had a strikeout. Then Chasen Shreve made his Mets debut today, which was great to see as well. Shreve, who right now is the best southpaw in the Mets pen. We broke down the signing for the Mets over the past 2 weeks. If you haven't checked out on the channel, make sure you do. A separate video when we talked about it live as it happened. But Shreve, no problem. 1 inning pitch, got himself a strikeout. Then Colin Holderman, guys. I don't know if you've been seeing Colin Holderman, but he was carving up hitters the other day. I think it was against the Marlins too. And he did the exact same thing. The guy is 6'7". He's a monster. 2016 draft pick by the Mets, I believe in at least the 9th round, could be later. Had himself an absolute showing tonight. Another 2 strikeouts, gave up a hit in 1 inning, but awfully impressive from Holderman, who again is really surprising people right now with what he has done in a short period of time so far this spring. Again, even though it's spring, it's important to take advantage of the opportunities given to you, especially when you're a minor leaguer trying to really show what you got. Maybe you're going to get a crack at it at some point this season or next year for the Mets bullpen. So great stuff there from Holderman. And then Josh Walker, who is scheduled to pitch very soon. I think he may be pitching as soon as tomorrow because I know Tyler McGill is set to pitch, and I think so is Josh Walker. But he did pitch today, had an inning, did give up 3 hits and 2 runs scored and 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts. That also won in hand because Brett Beatty, unfortunately, Mets top third base prospect, baseball's top third base prospect, really ran into Reynolds in the infield. It was just a bad read by Beatty. Again, he's not ready for the MLB yet. We know that. He's still, a ways away. Still a top prospect. Runs into Reynolds, a second baseman. And then he finds himself at third base, an error, when that should have been an easy play for him to make defensively. And that led to a couple runs. Didn't matter, though. Then Seth Lugo, of course, in the 8th, had a clean inning. And oh my goodness, Seth Lugo, with that spin rate, was ridiculous. He was over 3,300 RPMs on that curveball, looking like prime Seth Lugo that we remember, that we know all too well, especially throughout his first couple of years with the Mets. He has some of the nastiest break on that curveball, the high spin rate, and all of baseball for not just a reliever, but I know he's been a starter at times for the Mets. Just fantastic stuff from Lugo. He looked more so in his prime, especially with that spin rate, because the spin rate was down last year, not really because of the sticky substance situation, because he was someone that was actually advocate for checking people because he got pissed off. I've worked my entire life on my craft and my spin rate, and now guys are coming in and using spider tack and all this shit, pardon my French, to really cause them to have a higher spin rate when they aren't doing naturally. So last year, he wasn't as high with his spin rate. This year, though, in spring, just monster numbers, what he is doing now we saw today. And then Andrew Mitchell, the final reliever that was in for the Mets, I had one strikeout, and that closed it up. But offensively, we got to go through all these numbers, guys. I know a lot of you watched the game, but we just got to deep dive it right now. Brandon Nimmo didn't get himself a hit today, but that's okay. He'll be perfectly fine. Carlos Cortez, left fielder who's pinch hitting, had himself 1 for 2. A really nice hit for him as well. A double down the right line, if I'm not mistaken. 1 for 2 on the day. Mark Canha, again, 1 for 4 with that run scored, the home run and the RBI. Matt Reynolds did not have a hit today, but he did have an RBI, so that's always good to see. Was it a walk-in RBI? I'm not sure exactly how that transpired, but Francisco Lindor, not really much more to say there. 2 for 3, 2 runs scored, a home run, a double, 2 RBIs and a walk. Jake Mangum did not get a hit today. Pete Alonso didn't get a hit, but he did get himself a run scored, 1 for 2, and of course, and had himself 1 walk, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not. Travis Jankowski, similar. Didn't get himself a hit. Did get a walk, however, was 0 for 1 and a strikeout. Jalen Palmer did not get any at-bats. He was just a defensive replacement. Eduardo Escobar, again, I can't say it enough. 3 for 3 today. You love to see it. Love seeing Escobar and his ability to spread the field. And he doesn't even need to use the power always. Just gain those nice singles. Will get the job done every which way. Had himself a run scored because of that. Nick Meyer did not get a hit from the bat. Say Jeff McNeil did. Jeff McNeil had himself a nice 2-out opposite field single. Love to see that. That's more the Jeff McNeil that I think of when I think of Prime McNeil. It's especially stuff like that. You absolutely love to see it. 1 for 1 with that run scored, and had himself McNeil had himself 2 walks today too. So great plate discipline. Francisco Alvarez 1 for 2 with the run scored, with the piss missile of the RBI from the home run. JD Davis 1 for 2 with the run scored, and of course the 3 RBIs from the bases clearing double. Nothing from Yorme in 1 at bat. Nothing from Cody Boanek. I'm probably saying his name wrong. The second baseman. Dom Smith 1 for 2 today with a run scored and a walk and a strikeout. Brett Beatty 0 for 2 today. Hayden Senger, who was at the catching spot today when McCann still being out with his back spasm, but he'll be okay. 0 for 2. And then Daniel Palka got himself a run scored off of a walk. 0 for 1 today. So offensively, again, so great to see from the Mets today. And pitching wise, everything was just so balanced. I want to know, everyone that's watching the live stream right now, or if you're watching on replay, let me know in the comments, how did you feel about tonight's performance? Again, offensively, the Marlins had a good portion of their guys out there. Pitching-wise, they did not. I don't think I actually saw a starter, any type of MLB caliber pitcher for the Marlins in this game until at least halfway through, and I think that was Bass, if I'm not mistaken. So either way, I want to know, how do you feel about this game? I understand that, yes, this is something that I get it. It's spring training. You don't want to get too hyped up. But to see the Mets again take advantage of the pitching given to them, working the counts early and spreading the field, actually getting 2-out clutch hitting, actually hitting with runners in scoring position. This is what we need to see more of this season. This is what we have been dying for. And the fact that I am so amped up over this tells you all you need to know about the 2021 campaign for the Mets, how piss poor it was, how inconsistent, and how the Mets were lucky to get any runs left or right. So this, again, was just so comforting to see in so many different ways. And I'm very, very excited to get further into this one, folks, to break down some more numbers for you. But I do see a donation, so I'm going to address that quick. A super chat. Jose, thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Jose, great member on the channel, says Alvarez's home run made me go deaf. I kid you not, when Alvarez hit that piss missile dead center, 441 feet, I got chills. It was perfect. We've been seeing that from Alvarez time in and time out. No one's really surprised by that power. He's an absolute tank, but man, oh man, that was just a jaw dropper. That's something where you're like, I need to see that more. I need Alvarez with the Mets right now because of how much of a fantastic home run that was. We're not going to rush him. I get that, but needless to say, just fantastic to see on the Alvarez front. That made me unbelievably happy. And Jose, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. And of course, guys, if you're watching the live stream, super chats, I will always be addressing first, rightfully so. And I'll be getting to plenty of your questions soon. But before we go forward, I did want to touch on what didn't just happen in tonight's game, but what happened prior to that, because I didn't think that there was going to be a game today. The forecast in Port St. Lucie was not looking great. And because of that, there wasn't a great likelihood originally that a game was going to transpire. So we found out halfway through the day, basically, that a game was going to happen. And we saw, because of that, Chris Bassett and Cookie Carrasco all pitched today in a sim game, a minor league game for the Mets at spring training today because of the fact that they didn't know if they were going to have a normal spring game or not. Cookie Carrasco did give up a fair share of home runs. I believe he gave up 5 runs today in multiple innings. He gave up that piss missile of a home run, at least one in the first inning. So Cookie, unfortunately, continuing the first inning issue of a narrative is what we saw again today. I'm not going to put too much stock into it again. It's his first time facing live batters for the most part this spring. He's just trying to land the strike zone. It is funny how it goes with the narrative. Again, Cookie can't get out of the first inning. Then he's cruising once he's out of it. That's what we saw again today. But again, Cookie's a guy you can't rush right now. Need to get him developing. It wasn't encouraging to see what he did, but at the end of the day, it's spring. Max Scherzer says it best throughout spring. They're just trying to pound the zone. So that's the priority. They're just trying to get themselves ramped up and ready to go. And keep in mind that this is a short spring, so Cookie doesn't have nearly as much time as he normally does, especially coming off of another surgery this offseason on his elbow, I believe. So it is what it is. But the bright spot between those two today was by far away was Chris Bassitt. Chris Bassitt today pitched in 5 innings in the Mets intra-squad game, sim game, if you will, had himself only giving up 1 hit and had 4+ strikeouts. He was just absolutely nasty. I wish we could have saw that in more video today. We saw some of it, but Chris Bassitt is set to pitch this upcoming Tuesday in his first official spring training game for the Mets. But man, oh man, Bassitt looked nasty. Love to see that. And when Bassitt was asked in his interview, after the sim game today, what his thoughts were about arbitration, he said, quite frankly, my viewpoint is I'm out there to go play baseball. I quite frankly don't give a shit about my contract. That's what I paid my agent for. That is the most Oakland Athletics thing a man could say. Needless to say, a lot of fans are jumping on the Chris Bassitt hype train quick. He just seems like a great guy. I mean, simply put, outside of being a tremendous pitcher who's going to be a dominant number 3 for the Mets this year, when he would be a number 2 or an ace on opposing clubs, seeing that mentality, it's humbling, to put it lightly, to knowing how he's approaching the contract situation. For those that aren't aware, he is the one Mets player that will be going to arbitration, having that hearing in mid-season for the Mets this year. Everyone else was able to reach an agreement before going to an arbitration hearing or anything like that. But Bassitt has a great head on his shoulders, looked fantastic today. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in his first official minor league game for the Mets in the coming days. But before we go further, again, thank you all so much for being here. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. If you guys are enjoying this post-game recap, sharing analysis, we got highlights for you guys. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you guys like the format. So if you do, please make sure to let me know in the live stream or in the comments as well. I'm going to be getting all of your questions very soon, so stay tuned for that, guys. But one more thing that I would like to mention, I know that, everyone knows this by now, but Mets don't have to worry about the mandate situation. I've been telling you guys since we heard about it over the past week and a half. I personally was not concerned. Now, regardless of how we personally feel about the matter, this was something that always felt inevitable to me. I did not think that this was going to last, given the endless contradiction. And don't get me wrong, there's still contradiction on that front, but that's a discussion for another day. But overall, we see the Mets and the Yankees not going to have a problem. Unvaxxed players will still be able to play. And same thing, with, of course, NBA because of the Kyrie situation, all that stuff. So for the people that were really stressing the mandate, I'm not sure exactly how you feel right now. But yes, the Mets don't have quite literally anything to worry about now when it comes to if you're vaxxed or not, if you'll be able to play. And that held true today as the mayor made his announcement, of course, at Citi Field today in the Jackie Robinson spot of Citi Field. And I will say this, and I'll leave you guys on this regarding this topic because I don't need to expand it further. I'm under the firm belief that Steve Cohen had the biggest pull here because Steve Cohen actually gave the mayor $1.5 million last summer in support of him for his campaign. And Cohen, the fact that they were hosting at Citi Field, who is the guy that's most likely out of all these sports clubs to have the biggest pull in a decision, whether you agree or not? It's probably Steve Cohen. So for Yankees and Nets fans and, everyone else involved, they can thank Steve Cohen probably more than anyone else in regards to how this was able to get flipped the script as quickly as it did. But now that we're going on, we talked about this. We talked about the mandate. That's over. That's done with. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So if you ask questions, I'm just not going to answer because, again, I don't feel like deep diving that topic any further than what I did. I just want to inform you guys if, say, you were unaware. Now we're going to get into the questions, going to answer your comments, guys. So feel free to fire away if you're watching the live stream. And again, if you have comments, let me know in the comments below. If you watch this on replay, I'll try to read them at least and maybe address them next live stream, next post game, or whenever it may be. But yeah, very happy again to recap. Mets win this one 9-3. Great to see, just an offensive clinic through and through. If we look at the further numbers here, guys, too, a top exit velo tonight, Francisco Alvarez, 109. Pardon me, 108.9, so basically 109 miles per hour on that 441 dead center piss missile of a home run. Carlos Cortez was second at 107.8 with his double on the right side. Francisco Lindor was third with a 106.6. And then we have Avisail Garcia, Brian Miller for the Miami Marlins. Top distance, again, was Alvarez by 40 feet to Jesus Sanchez's 401 contact that he made there. And then top pitch velocity was by Zabala for the Marlins today at 100.5. And right under him by 0.3 difference was Edwin Diaz, who hit 100 on the gun today at 100.2. And yeah, just again, very, very happy. Good win for the Mets today. Took advantage of subpar pitching and just carved up the Marlins offense with the majority of their normal offensive weapons in there, while the Mets did not have one singular starter in there. That's always a great sight to see. But let's get into some questions, shall we? Again, thank you guys all so much for being here. Edwin, Tyler, what's up? That Alvarez home run. Oh my God. You said it, Edwin. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. But yeah, just absolutely nuts. Beautiful home run. And talking about, I see McNeil been looking good at second base. Yes, we have it in the highlight reel here. McNeil had that tremendous turn. It looked like he could have maybe flicked it to Lindor for, the behind the back double play possibility, but he wasn't able to do that. McNeil, probably one of the best throws I've ever seen from him at the second base position. So for a guy that is trying to step up right now, looking like he's going to be the Mets starting second baseman, with all the controversies, with all the rumors this offseason that you know very well, if you've been following the channel, we talked about it probably more than anything. He looks rejuvenized. He's looking better at the plate. He's looking more like the McNeil of old that we are accustomed to. Again, it's spring, so you can only put too much stock, but a positive is still a positive at the end of the day versus, say, something being a negative. So happy with what I'm seeing from McNeil, and I hope it definitely continues. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, Cristiano, how's it going, my friend? Yo, what's up, Worry? I have some big news, and that's I'm going to the Mets opening game versus Anatomy. I know you're going, so hopefully I can see you, bro. Where am I sitting? I'm not going to the opening game in DC, my friend. I'm going to the second game. So unless you met that, unfortunately, I won't be able to see you. But yes, for those that aren't aware, just secured the tickets tonight. I am going to the Mets' second game of the season. That'll be Max Scherzer's debut as a New York Met against his former team in the Nationals. I will be in DC. I can't wait. I'll be posting more about it so we can do meetups and stuff like that at the game. I'm more than likely going to be vlog that game as well, because of the fact that I won't be doing coverage that day on the channel for it. So to kind of, supplement, put something else in there, I'm going to try to vlog as much as I can while I'm at the game and have that up for you guys the following day. Very excited for that. Hope you have a great time at the game, no less, Bite. Let's see. Can't believe Conforto hasn't been signed yet. Neither can I. I know Tommy Pham got signed to the Reds yesterday, so that's another corner outfielder, off the board. Michael is in no man's land right now. We'll see. We'll all keep in mind too, the mandate could have a factor into things, because I don't know for certain. I don't believe Conforto's vaxxed, regardless on anyone's opinions about that. But I do wonder how much of an impact that has had in things, because I know that's had an impact for some teams, especially a team like the Toronto Blue Jays, because you have to be vaccinated to play in Toronto. So, yeah, I do wonder how much of a factor, if at all, that's been regarding his market, on top of having to give up a draft pick to acquire him because of the fact they declined the Mets qualifying offer. I don't think he's coming back to the Mets, but regardless, it's going to be curious to see if the Mets add any more. And a guy to keep in mind is, Matt Beatty, one of the potato, was DFA'd yesterday by the Dodgers. And he's a really, really sneaky good lefty outfield bat that can play all over the outfield, can play first base for you, has playoff experience, was a 270 average hitter last year, has some very good numbers in a limited role. He's available right now. I don't believe he's been picked up. So you'd have to imagine that the Mets show some interest there, because that's automatically your best fourth outfielder. He's better than Travis Jankowski. Nothing personal against Travis, but I mean, if you look at their numbers so far in their career, you can make that argument for sure that he's a guy that you should at least chime in on and do your due diligence on. So I'm curious to see where he's going to land should it not be with the Mets. Jeff, how's it going, my friend? When is Marte cleared to take at bats? I think he's going to be cleared very soon. I know he's been playing in right field, which I will say, and I've been preaching all offseason, Marte should be the center fielder for the Mets, but it looks like I'm getting smacked across the face with some, contradiction here, because it looks like Marte's actually going to play in right more than anything else this year, which personally I don't love, only because of the fact that Nimmo, we need the guy to stay healthy. Him playing mainly center, I have my concerns. He doesn't have a strong arm in center. Does he have good range? Yes, he does. Nimmo had really improved his defense this past year, as did Alonso, respectively, at their different positions. But the point I'm trying to make is that Marte's never played right field at the MLB level in his career. Now we're going to throw him in right. One, I get it for the injury aspect because, again, obliques are something you don't want to toy with too much. And he is 33. So I understand the aspect of putting him in the corner for the lack of injury risk. But he also, one, he hasn't played the position at the MLB level. Not that I don't think it'll be a big problem. It's easier than, of course, playing in center. And two, he does have the strongest arm in the outfield. So it makes sense why you have the strongest arm in right. But for me personally, I feel myself, I'm scratching my head a little bit if that's really the best route for the Mets. So I think the Mets are going to start him in right, have Nimmo in center, and have Canna in left, and kind of go with the flow throughout the season. So as long as they don't do anything that's going to become a defensive issue or something where Nimmo just arm is really becoming a detriment to the team's success at the center field position, we'll be fine. But I was a little surprised initially, at least, to see that transpire. And I don't expect that to be the outfield alignment for the entirety of the season. That would really surprise me if I'm being completely honest here. Let's see. Answering more of your questions, folks. I don't know who's saying Nimmo stinks in the chat, but whoever is clearly doesn't watch baseball. Probably just says, oh, he stinks because he can't stay healthy. Casuals. All right, let's see. And Harrison's, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know you've been talking about that. So yeah, trust me when I say I do apologize. My condolences with you and your family. Truly, it's terrible to hear. Johnny, how's it going, my friend? Love your channel. How do you feel about Marte playing right and outside? I just answered that. There you go. You just got the answer. So that was simple enough, right? I hope I answered everything for you. Yep. I think we cleared that one up. Ken Lee, keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Doing a great job with the postgame. Really appreciate that, Ken. Again, I hope you guys like the postgames because we'll be doing plenty of other content throughout the season, but the goal is weekly, as many as possible. The goal is to, at minimum, do 100 postgame recaps this season. My goal is to do as many as possible, but the main times where it won't transpire is over the weekends or when I'm, say, doing a trip for a couple days with family, friends, loved ones, stuff like that. But the goal is to definitely do 100 to 120 post games this year, as long as nothing drastically changes with the schedule. That's the consistent content I want to have out for you guys every single day throughout the week on the channel. And that doesn't include doing weekly segments of recaps throughout the week for the Mets, on top of individual videos, breaking down specific topics, doing collaborations with fellow content creators, Mets minds, Mets writers, and all these fun things. Let's see. But before I go any further, before I answer questions, guys, this is where I'm going to cut things off for my people that did watch on replay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. If you did, again, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. It's really appreciated. Help us get a 15K subs for the next short-term goal on the channel. And again, if you like these kind of post-game recaps and you want to see more coverage like this, if you're excited for the advancements, because again, we just started. This is the only third one. This is the third one we've done. So if you're excited to see more of that, please make sure to smash those buttons for my people watching on replay. For people watching live right now, we'll go on for another half hour, but on replay, this is where we're going to cut things off, so that way you don't have to see me just answer questions for another half hour in case you don't want to. We went down all the nitty-gritty in this game, or this 9-3 victory for the Mets over the Marlins. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. Let's go, Mets.